Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Janice Our Love with Pros Perfected Institute, and we are here for asking for a sister friend. Hello, 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 everybody. Once again, this is Dr. Janice Our Love, and we are here for asking for a sister friend. So, how's everybody doing? It is Sunday, and we have had an awesome day today. Believe it or not, my fabulous husband celebrated 35 years of service as the senior pastor of the Second Baptist Church of Olathe. So, since it is Pastor's Appreciation Month, you all know what that means, that I always love having my hubby as a guest. So, as you're coming in, say hello, let me know that you are there. And as always, if you have comments, please leave the comments, or if you have any questions, feel free to put them out there. I am here every Sunday night for Asking for a Sister Friend, where we help professionals to become go to experts. All right. So, again, as you're coming in, say hello, let me know you're there. And again, feel free to leave your comments. Now, let's go ahead and get into this thing because we have a very exciting show planned for you on tonight. So, I'm going to bring in our guest and let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Now, again, remember it is Pastor's Appreciation Month, and my husband, the Reverend Dr. Bobby L. Love Sr., has been pastoring for 35 years. Whoo, that's a long time. And he is doing some magnificent and wonderful things. So, what I decided to do was just have a conversation with him about what's been going on the last 35 years. We're going to talk a little bit about his hopes, his hurts, his healing, his future dreams, all the things that allow him to share the past, the present, and the future. Now, again, he's been pastoring for 35 years. He is also involved in a lot of social justice activities. He is doing a great work there. He is the biological father of six and the bonus F dad for two. And we have been married for 21 years. Yay. So, anyway, I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking because this is your chance to talk, darling. And
All
so,
right.
welcome to the stage, Reverend Dr. Bobby Lee Love Sr.
Well, it is my esteemed privilege to be here once again. And thank you, Dr. Janice R. Love, my wife, for the fabulous job that you do and the outreach that you do to your audience. So thank you for having me. Let's
All
get
right,
with it.
let's get with it. So, again, I wanted to show you all. We're going to be having the conversation about the heart of a pastor, 35 years of hopes, hurts, healing, and future dreams. That's a pretty nice picture, you dear.
It is. Thank you. I clean up well.
All right.
Standing
So,
beside you. Hey.
all right. Well, let's start by just
Okay.
reflecting on 35 years. What has been, would you say, the most fulfilling part of pastoring for 35 years?
Oh wow! I think just let me share this. I think it is 35 years of senior pastor ministry, but actually I've got over 40 years of preaching ministry. So for me, as I look back, some of the most fulfilling things for me is to see the little light bulb that goes off in people's eyes and their hearts when they get the message. That is the most um, gratifying thing, to know that people are actually connecting with the Lord through your message.
Yeah, and I mean, you always have some pretty interesting stories. So a person cannot help but go with you and eventually get it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as we think about that, what maybe your hopes were a little different 35 years ago. Has
Oh,
that
by all
changed?
means. Hmm.
What were your hopes back then?
Well, I think as any young pastor starting out, the hopes is that you're going to have this thriving big church. You're going to everybody's going to love you, everybody's going to adore you, and all of that kind of stuff. And I think the reality of it, that when that doesn't happen, that kind of can put you at a different mindset.
Okay, so everybody doesn't love you with a name like Dr. Bobby Love. Everybody doesn't love you.
Of course not.
Ah, okay, all right. So that
No,
means
and let me say this. I think that's one of the things that you hope for, is that um, everybody will, you know, be in your corner and everything, and that's just not the case, because when life happens, there's some hard things that have to be shared, and sometimes that can bend people out of shape. But I will say that they love me for being authentic and real.
okay. I'll take that.
Okay,
So that
thank
means you have had some challenges and some hurts.
you. Yes,
What would you
yes.
say has been some of the challenging moments that you've experienced in your pastoral journey? We'll just get ahead and get that part over with. What have been your challenging moments?
Well, you mean personally or collectively as a church or community?
How do you want to
Or,
answer it?
well, I think for a collective as a church, we hurt when you see your congregation going through a storm together. And what I mean by that, some of your seasoned saints who have gone on and made their transition, those are hurtful. Um, Another time would be when people leave, and people or families, when they get relocated, you hate to see them move, and but you stay connected. We've been blessed. We've have some families that fit that category. I was disappointed to see them leave, but I'm elated when they come back to visit. And then on a personal note, some of the challenges or hurts is when you go through your own personal storm. And when you feel like you're all alone and you can't share, and you have to play your cards close to the vest, that's probably, I would say, one of the most challenging times.
Okay, so how do you navigate those personal hurts when you're still trying to serve others who rely on what we would call your strength and your
Yeah.
guidance?
For me, and this is not the case for everybody, for me, when you're going through that challenging time, you definitely have to have a support group that's 100% in your corner, right, wrong, or indifferent. You know that those people are there. And I have been blessed on those types of storms to have my mother and father still with me. Many of you may not know, but my mother right now is in January, she will be 96 years old. My father, who recently passed in 2019, he died at the age of 98 years old. So for me, my most trying times, they have been there with me. And I kind of think that the Lord knew that I needed that support group. So it's hard to navigate those when you don't have trusted, prayerful, and dedicated people that can help you in your most trying time.
Okay, all right. So pastors often take on the burdens of other people.
Oh yeah,
How have you managed to find healing for yourself in the process?
I think there again, you have to learn how to um, step away sometime and get solace. I will say, in all transparency, the earlier part of my ministry, I did not understand that as I do now. And I think I really am blessed. Um, our 21 years together, you have really helped me to see that. And the way that I've been able to do it since that time is to be able to unplug, vacation, self care, and be more focused on that.
Okay. So, what about when the hurts come from the church itself,
Oh, man.
the personal hurts?
That's where you have to be really dialed in your prayer life and your faith. Some of my most trying times, where I felt hurt the most is, and people may not always agree with you, but certain things that happen, and I'll just be transparent. I went through a very public divorce, and you want to talk about a trying time. That was probably one of the most darkest times of my ministry, as well as my life, because so many people that you grow up with people. I've been with these people for so long, and then when you go through your own personal trial, you feel like you're under attack. So that was a very, very stressful and hurtful time.
All right, but you made it through by the grace of God.
Hallelujah. I could do a
All
wave. Do you hear that organ tuning up?
right. So, so oftentimes we don't get a chance to hear about the needs of a pastor. Now, I
Yeah.
had ran across this book a while back that,
Okay.
and actually talked to the author, and she had written a book about what women wish their pastors knew.
Hmm.
And it talks about, again, some of the needs that we have as church members, women being in the church.
Hmm.
And so I want to flip that around,
Hmm.
and I want to talk about what kind of needs that you have as a pastor. Maybe you never get a chance to express what your needs are. What would you say they are?
Well, I think on that, and that's a very good and fair question. Uh, for me, I need for people to understand that sometimes I need space. And I'll give you an example. This is pre-COVID, so I used to meet with my deacons prior to service or whatever, and then during service, you're trying to get in that mindset of what you need to do, and inadvertently, there will always be somebody that'll come to you with a problem right before you're going out to preach. And everybody's happy to see you or whatever, but everybody's got that one thing that, hey, pastor, so and so and so and so, hey, pastor, this. I think I would like for people to know what a pastor's need is at that time. Is not that he's untouchable, but he needs to be dialed in so that he can make sure that he's dishing up the type of meal that's going to be beneficial to his flock.
So everybody needs a bodyguard like me because I don't let anybody
Absolutely.
in
You
that
shut it
office, right?
down. You shut
I
it
shut it
down.
down.
Yeah. Now,
And
now I will say, I was blessed during that time too. Nobody can do it like you, of course, but I do want to shout out that expressing that to my deacons during that time, they would place somebody there at the door to be that intermediary.
mhm.
You can see the pastor after service or whatever. Hmm. But nobody
So
can
we
do it like you.
that's right. That's right. Your schedule is off the chain. All
Hmm.
right. I know that you are doing church stuff.
Right,
We have family things that you're
right.
doing. And how do you balance that need for personal rest and the renewal with the demands of the ministry? How do you do
Yeah,
that?
I don't always. I must confess that I don't always get it right, because in any sequence of that you get out of balance, it shows up somewhere. But I try to take certain days to make sure that I'm accomplishing everything that I need to, whatever deliverables that I have. Um, and a premium of that is my Wednesday noonday Bible study. I have to carve out time too, because I'm the care provider for my mother, to make sure that she has her things. Got to make sure that I'm doing what I need to from congregational care, teaching opportunities, and so forth like that. So it does require a balance to get those things done.
Plus, you got to spend time with me.
Absolutely. So now we do, and I will say this to ministry couples, is that you have to be intentional. And I am very thankful that we're intentional in our morning walks. We're intentional in our Sunday evening popcorn time, and we're intentional to guard our Friday night date night.
Uh-huh.
So those
Yes.
are
And
important things, and we are intentional to make sure that we do take time to travel.
yes. And then you're intentional about, you love cooking. So
Oh
you're
yeah, I do.
intentional about making sure that you prepare a lovely meal for me. And I
Absolutely,
appreciate that. I
absolutely.
appreciate that.
Now you got to be sure to tell your audience that I can do it.
You can do it, but I don't want nobody trying to invite themselves over. So I'm going to
Absolutely.
keep this little secret between us.
All
How's
right.
that?
Very
All
good.
right. So we're gonna take a short break here,
Okay.
because I want to pay the bills for
Yeah.
Pearls
Pay the
Perfected
bill.
Institute.
Yeah.
And but when we come back, I want to move from the past and the present, and let's start talking about what your dreams might be for the future or your legacy. I want you to start thinking about that, because when we come back, we're going to talk about that. All
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
All right. Are you a coach? How about a counselor? Are you a therapist? Maybe you're a wellness coach. Or are you a leadership or life coach? A pastor or a pastoral counselor? Are you helping others to achieve their goals? That means that you are a professional. But what if you could become an expert and establish your authority beyond your degree, certification, or license? What if you could create high quality learning materials, such as ebooks, videos, workbooks, and assessments? What if you could extend yourself beyond the one on one session and build your brand and increase your revenue? Learning for your clients 24/7 when they want it. Welcome to Pros Perfected Institute, where you can become an expert and showcase your expertise. It's the home of the Client Learning Portal, with easy to use course building technology and learning management for experts like you. Want to save time, increase engagement, empower your clients, measure progress? Want to have stress free tech? Yes. Now that's something to celebrate. Hi, I'm Dr. Janice R. Love, the founder and CEO of Pearls Perfected Institute. We invite you to visit us at pearlsperfectedinstitute.com.
All
All
right.
right. So we are back here with the Reverend Dr. Bobby Love, who has been pastoring for 35 years, moving into his 36th year. And we're talking about the heart of a pastor, 35 years of hopes, hurts, healing, and future dreams. So we talked about many of the challenges that you
Good.
have gone through in your time. Of course, we didn't hit all of them, but I think you really honed in on those things that have been challenging for you. But now I want to talk about the future and what your dreams are. Does anybody ever ask you what your dreams are for
Not
yourself or
really.
your church?
Um, that's not a conversation that outside of you and I.
Okay.
That usually doesn't happen on the professional stage as it relates to the church, because that question typically lends a pastor to give a theological statement, win more souls for Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Get more people involved in Sunday school, bring more people, increase the membership. Those types of things is
Okay.
how we're kind of wired to answer.
Okay. But let's unwire you
Okay.
and
Okay.
let's hear what are your dreams? What
Well,
are your dreams?
my dreams on a personal basis is to look down the horizon, and I've come to grips that I'm not always going to be in a pulpit ministry. And as I look down the horizon, I realize that that does not mean that it's the end of your ministry. It just lets me understand that ministry will take on a different form for me. And I've been taking the last, especially since COVID, that has been something that's been pressed upon my mind and my heart for a long time. So I've been praying through that, and I think the Lord is leading me in a direction where I'm going to be okay with that when that time comes. So I'm just praying for God to speak to my heart as to when it is that time to make that transition.
So is that a hard conversation to have with yourself?
Oh, by all
Because
means.
do you
It's
did you
hard from it's hard. Excuse me, it's hard from this point of view. I come up in ministry at a time when the old school preachers have stated that they would die in the pulpit preaching. They're going to give everything they
Mhm.
can. But I have to be honest with you. I have served with a lot of senior pastors who were well older than I am, and I was kind of the guy that came along at the tail end, if you will, of that old school type of pastor. And I've watched too many of them stay too long. And they stayed too long because they did not, they felt that they were failing God. If I don't stay in the pulpit, I'm not doing my job. So I've learned from that, and I've also saw the effects that it has on a congregation. So my
Mm.
prayer has been, Lord, show me when my time has expired from that ministry. Help me to prepare my congregation, and just help me to know when I'm supposed to exit stage left.
Now that had to be a mind shift for you because
Oh,
I
by all
know
means.
conversations early in
Oh,
our
yeah.
marriage, there was no such thing in a
Oh,
sense as a
no.
retirement day. So
Oh, no.
what has led you to seeing things different? Is it realizing that God can use you in other venues through ministry? What has been the major mind shift for you in that?
As you know, I do a lot of traveling for some of the other things that I'm involved in that's in ministry. I work with pastors across the nation in various denominations. We also do a lot of social justice types of things, and I get great fulfillment from that. And I'm mindful that what the Lord has given me in my ministry here in Olathe and from Second Baptist is that I've engaged those types of things and poured into other people. And man, it's such a joy to see the appreciation that people have, that you're helping them get to the next level. So the Lord has shown me that um, I can still be used in other venues, and I don't have to be locked in to dying in a pulpit ministry. So,
Okay,
and I'm very thankful for that. I wouldn't have said that 10 years ago. I
how
think
about 2 years ago?
probably not. I think what helped me along the line,
Hmm.
sincerely, has been when we went through the pandemic.
Hmm.
That had a different effect on me. You want to talk about all the emotions of trying to pastor people during a pandemic. That shifted a lot for me in all transparency. There was a grieving period. I went through my own little mental battles because we are used to, as pastors, especially if you have a touch of nostalgia where you got an old style of preaching, and I'd like to think I got a little bit of that. You're used to a call and response. And when there's nobody in the audience, the call and response, you
Mhm.
want to talk about hitting a low. When I remember when there was nobody in the building but just me and my sound person,
Mhm.
and that kind of messes with you. So I weathered the storm. It made me become more creative. So I think we have a robust online virtual congregation, which I'm very grateful. I never thought that I would ever be on social media or having a virtual congregation. So I'm very thankful for that.
You a TV preacher. I remember the first time I sat you down to make you watch yourself on YouTube when you
Yeah.
were like in shock, like,
Yeah, it,
oh
it
my
brought
God.
tears to my eyes. It really did.
It was
It
it was
really brought,
special.
because I've been one that never liked to hear myself on tape or anything, but to actually watch a pre-recorded sermon that I did, and that brought me to tears.
All right. Yeah, you getting soft in your old age, I tell
I
you.
know it. I know it. Hey, who'd ever thought that as well? Yeah, I
All
might
right.
tear up here talking to you.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. So I'm sure in your travels and in your just everyday pastoring, there's times when you run into younger pastors who are going into the ministry or who are new pastors.
Right.
So how do you advise them? Someone who's stepping in the ministry today,
Yeah.
how would you advise them?
A couple of things. First and foremost, let me say that I am forever grateful for the pastor that I started under, Reverend Dr. H.E. Anderson, who is now down at Shiloh Baptist Church in Camden, Arkansas, excuse me. And one of the things that he shared with me was to take the good qualities that you see in ministers and discard the bad. And what I got out of that, because sometimes as young ministers, when you're a company of seasoned pastors, you hear things that are not always the best things to hear. And I'm not want to getting in to disparage anyone, but pastors are human, and you hear a lot of everyday talk that can jade you or discourage you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is something that he shared with me that I think really helped me. He says, "Be the best associate minister that you can be, and if you do that, when the Lord elevates you, He will bless you with the same thing." So I have been blessed, tremendously blessed by practicing that. And then the next thing that I would share with young pre- preachers is you don't have to try to do it all at one time. Take your
Mm.
time. This is a journey. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So just remember those things and study, study, study.
So what legacy do you want to leave?
I think the legacy that I would want to leave is kind of like what some of the Old Testament leaders would do is to know that as they got ready to exit the stage, that they could look back and ask themselves or ask their people who were in their charge. Um, how they did, and my legacy, I would hope that which I've been blessed to serve about 4 to 5 generations. So I would hope to think that I've done a good enough job to bless those families. I hope that I've left imprint. You know how you go to a kiosk and it says, "You are here." I want people when they come through Olathe, when they come through Kansas City, that they'll be able, when they mention either Second Baptist or if they mention my name, that somebody's ears will perk up and they'll be able to say what I tried to do, what I meant to them, or what impact that I had. That people will know at the end of the day that Bobby Love was here.
Bobby Love.
That's right. That's right. And and
Okay.
and if I might, one thing that you didn't ask me that I would probably add in our conversation
Mhm.
is there any regrets? And I do want to not so much a regret. If I was looking back and asking or talking to my younger self,
Mhm.
getting into ministry, and of course this is hindsight.
Mhm.
I think many ministers make they go down the wrong track from this vantage point. If you're raising a family, we put so much stock in our children being little soldiers, being perfect, and all of that, that we don't give them the opportunity to live normal lives. And when you do that, it will show up later
Mhm.
on in life, and it might not be as pretty as you would like. Now, I think that we have been blessed. But I can say that in my earlier years, I had a heavy hand on my children because I wanted them to be little soldiers. They couldn't make any, and I used them as an example. I probably wouldn't do that because um, the parents in the pew, their kids get the opportunity to grow up where a ministry family, a first family, has to. There's a lot of pressure to be perfect. And one thing that we have to do, and I use this as an example, and I'll jump off here, is that we're so busy saving the world and pouring into other families that we forget to do the same for our own
Mhm.
family. And it's kind of like by the time we figure it out, it's like you got a little string here and we pull it, and unbeknownst to us, we done pulled the whole sleeve off. And we have to understand that. Take time to be with your family. Take time to grow up with them.
I love it. I love it. And how do you know I wasn't going to ask you that question?
I just felt it in my spirit, and I wanted to jump out there.
All right. So, as we begin to try to wrap this up,
Okay.
what do you hope people take away from your life story and ministry after this interview?
I hope that it is heartfelt because I'm a firm believer that what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And I think that people that know me would know that I've tried to be a man of integrity. I grew up at a time when your word is your bond, and I think I've tried to do that. And one thing that I'm very thankful for um, is the men who served under me. Many of them have been blessed to get their own churches and so forth. And I like to think that I have had, in some small way, a significant role in that. And then the same way that I've licensed my first female clergy, and that's something that was unheard of when I came along. So I've kind of come full circle. Who am I? If the Lord can use me, I believe that the Lord has a right to use anybody in their giftedness. And I want to empower people. I want that it ain't about Bobby Love. It's about the Lord and Him raising up individuals that can make a difference in making the world better.
So, if you were to write a book, about your journey, which we know that's something you're working on. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm going to be announcing a special course that I'm going to offer for pastors to write their
All right.
memoirs. Okay. So if you were to write that book about your journey, your life journey, your ministry journey, what would you title it?
Oh gosh, I probably, you know me, I probably got 50 different titles. One
Mm-hmm.
would probably be The House That Love Built.
Mm-hmm. All right, I
Um,
like it.
mhm.
Give me one more.
Another one would be, um, as I always say in some of my sermons, um, from that city way, that great city out west. A
So
preacher from
lessons
that
from
great
that
city.
great city out west.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to hold you to that as
Okay,
part of
dear.
your legacy,
Okay. Well, thank you so very much.
that you're going to let your wife help you write that book.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I never turn down any help. Good
All
help is
right.
hard to find.
No, that's right. I know that's right. Okay, so we are beginning to wrap this up, but I want to
Mhm.
thank you for your transparency and thank you for sharing, because 35 years is a
Yeah,
big deal. You know,
yeah,
when people work for secular organizations,
right.
they're getting all kind of big bonuses and watches and all kinds of stuff for having
Yeah,
served 35 years. So it's a big deal. So I
yeah.
wanted to celebrate that today
Well,
and
thank you.
celebrate
And I say,
you.
you know what's so funny about this too,
Uh-huh.
Dennis, is that when I first, uh, I was the youngest pastor that this church had called,
Hmm.
and the thing about it was, uh, they said that I would only be here for 6 months. I
Wow.
was so young, and there were some people. I mean, I had one lady to tell me, "Well, I just want to let you know I didn't vote for you, but I wish you well." I mean, that type of a thing.
Uh-huh.
And but I did thank her for her honesty in
Mhm.
sharing that. And I said, I hope that I would be able to be a good pastor for, because you have to pastor all people. You know, you
Right.
can't pick and choose. And so for a kid to come out of Western Kansas, for a kid that you know um, came to this city, this has been a long 6 months.
Yes, it has been. It's 6 times a long 6 months.
Exactly. And I've seen people come and go in different leadership positions that I've had. It's been a journey, and man, I am grateful. So now I'm getting a little sentimental. So I better stop
Mhm.
before I start crying
Yeah,
on it.
there you go. Well, again, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being my guest on today. And let's see, there's one more month, one more week left in October. So
Yeah.
next week we're going to be having a different conversation. We're going to be talking about um, how to break up.
Oh my.
Yeah, yeah. Um, because there's so much going on with relationships.
Yeah.
This is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Right.
And
Right.
one of the biggest challenges from a mental health perspective is relationships.
Hmm.
And sometimes we don't know when to end certain relationships that maybe are challenging for us or toxic. Now, this doesn't mean marriages go break up.
Yeah.
This is all about relationships. And sometimes we need to break those relationships. So,
Can I share something with you, because
sure.
this sparked another story, and one of a pastor that had a great influence on my ministry too is the late Reverend Dr. Donald Ford, who was at Second Missionary in Grandview, and he used to come and do my anniversaries for me. This has been years back, and one of the things that he shared with me along that same topic is that one of the hurts that we have is when members leave you or they
Mm,
go to someone else's church, and typically what we do is we want to placate to them, what can I do to keep you, whatever. So
right.
he had shared with me He says, you start looking at that from the vantage point that God is answering prayers for you that you aren't even aware of. Because see, some people need to be moved to another ministry, but
Mhm.
the Lord is trying to help us, but we're stuck on membership size. We don't want to lose members.
Mhm.
So I always say it this way now, and that taught me a valuable lesson, is that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt individuals who have served at Second Baptist Church in the 35 years that I've been there, that if they've gone to another church, that they have been a blessing to that other church. And I don't get hung up. My only deal is I want you to be the best person you can be. If the Lord moves you to another ministry, I want you to flourish. I want you to do well. But I'm not begging people to stay. But I used to. But after he shared that with me, I was able to let go and thank God and praise God, because it's just like a parking lot. You're looking for a parking spot. If you keep driving long enough, somebody's going to pull out and you get to pull right back in. So the Lord blessed us.
All right. Good good piece of advice.
Well,
All
I
right.
can tell stories for a living. That's what I do.
I know. I know. Anyway, so again, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to get out of here. Hang
All right.
on while we close out. And hey, we'll see you all next week at 7 p.m. Central Time for another episode of Asking for a Sister Friend. Say bye, darling.
Thank you for having me, and God bless you all. Thank you, baby, for having me on your show. Can I
Uh-huh.
come back?
You might.
Okay.
Bye bye.